should all make him play Mario Kart. just get in there.
You want to be on our board? We're gonna do a round robin tournament of Mario Kart.
And you have to win to stay.
Right?
Or Smash Brothers. Get some Smash
Smash
Brothers
Brothers?
going on in it. Welcome to the Status Quo. Let's start breaking it down. I'm your host, Chance, and today I'm joined by the full Sundered Gaming team. We've got Bear, Sundered Gaming's lead scribbler.
That's me.
We've got Shad, Sundered Gaming lead artist. And we've got Johnny Boy, Sundered Gaming's lead programmer.
Big money.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about a couple things all over the place, but we're going to start off with talking about Activision and the acquisition by Microsoft. So I know I sent a couple articles off to you guys. Basically, the rundown is the Federal Trade Commission just lost a case in court that's going to allow Microsoft to actually acquire Activision. Sony just signed a contract with Activision in order to have Call of Duty on their consoles for the next 10 years. Well, they signed it with Microsoft, so kind of a weird thing. So Sony's no longer trying to block their acquisition. So the last little bit of it is over in England, and
Which I think settled yesterday.
did it finally settle yesterday?
Well, they said they paused it until the 17th, which was yesterday.
They extended the pause.
Did they?
Yeah, so
Okay.
one pause is till August 29th, and then there's another pause that's September sometime.
Gotcha.
So my question here for us as game developers, how do we see that affecting the gaming industry as a whole? Don't all speak at once.
So, when I read the articles that they're still keeping Kotick in charge of Blizzard Activision, so until the merger officially happens, I don't know how much is actually going to change as far as what we see coming out of Activision Blizzard. At least in the
Short term.
correct. As far as long term, if they're allow the developers to do what they do best, then I see this as a good thing. But it seems like they're just trying to push this whole like metaverse thing, which I'm not sure if I'm a fan of.
Well, I know the article I was reading was from, I want to say it was from like 2022, like January. That was talking a lot about the metaverse and like it being able to push forward their agenda for the metaverse, but I'm not really sure that that's necessarily their biggest point of this is why we're doing it.
It flat out said like, no, this is a stepping stone for our metaverse.
One article.
Just saying it was.
I look at it. I look at what you're saying. Like short term, I don't see a lot of change, but long term, I see a lot of. I don't think it's necessarily better. I think that you are creating a monopoly where other people won't be able to compete and create games from the ground up. You have all these big guys who are like, oh, we're just going to destroy that company before it actually becomes. But it's becoming almost like there's going to be like, we're only going to have one gaming company in the world, and that's where we're going to get all of our games. Like that's basically what they're.
Isn't that happened already with Steam?
Well,
I think
different
that's
developers.
Yeah. No.
But I think in the long
Or
term, it's
platform.
not going to be a good thing, because if you think about what you're getting now from games, we're already frustrated with all the extra crap that's like pay this, pay that, all that. I think they're going to make it so it's like a scam. You're buying a game and you're gonna pay for that game, and you think you're getting this product, but you're actually getting sucked into something to make you want to. And having all of these companies conglomerated into one giant company is not a good thing. Like, because they're making all the money, they're going to make their own decisions. Like, how often do you think some of these bigwigs really care about actual gamers, or they want the profits? They care about the profits over
Right.
that. They don't care about anything else, and this is going to give them huge monopoly over the next 10.
Mhm.
See, but I see the next 10 years as a short term. The next 10 years might, be a little rough with games and what's coming out. But if it truly is terrible, if it truly is bad for the consumer, bad for the gamer, then you're going to get smaller development companies that they might not have the technology, or they might not have the manpower to truly put out those like big games, but they're going to have the story.
Right.
They're going to have the ability to really tell a story that these bigger companies don't care about. So while yes, I do agree that in the short term, it's going to be a little rough and it's going to be hard for gamers to really enjoy the games. They might get great mechanics, they might get, a little bit of fun repetitiveness, but I don't think they're going to be able to tell the story or have the freedom to tell the stories that they want to tell.
I think along that lines, you're going to get first short term, long term. It's short term because you're 27. It's long term because I'm 53. But so going along the lines you're talking about creativity versus the aspects of the game, playability of the game. I think you're going to get a little bit of both, but I don't think you're going to get the creativity that you would be by independent developers who are trying to, like us, trying to get into the gaming community to develop their own style of stuff. They're going to be, you may get a lot of things out of the technology being driven by that corporate engine. You're not going to get the creativity because it's going to be, this is our show and this is how
Well,
you're going to lose a lot of that.
one of the things that they said, as far as in the articles, is that they want to have everyone to have access to the game that they have, and part of going to the whole metaverse. The thing that scares me is that a lot of people they have mobile phones. That's one of the biggest growing markets as far as when it comes to gaming. And I foresee them trying to match, because they already did it with a lot of the VR games, match with like the Quest or whatever, instead of having the higher updated graphics for when you hook up to the actual computer and using the computer processing. That we'll see a lot of downgrades as far as in some of our games, just so that way it's mobile compatible. Which I don't have anything problem with being mobile compatible, but it doesn't suit every single game out there.
Right.
That's very true.
And if this is what they're trying to go for, then I can see certain things being degraded or held back just because, it can't run on the i17 or something.
Right. Or they mandate that they create the system that'll run on, but then it's like $1,000 a pop. So it's like, what do you do?
Well, I mean, that's the entry to gaming for PC gaming is $1,000 roughly, anyways. But to his point, the article basically did say that like they want to expand so that more people have access to more games, which that in my mind is yes, a very, very good thing. Be able to open up all these different games to all these people who didn't have them before. Cool. But on your point, yes, I like my expensive PC because I get to play the games at max FPS on a 120 hertz monitor with a stupid graphics card, and I get to see all the pretty stuff. Like
Right.
2 stupid graphics cards.
Yeah. Yeah. So to take that away from me as a PC gamer, just so that somebody who's playing on Xbox can have the same experience as me.
Well, not even Xbox, like on a phone.
Correct, like on a phone. Just to take that away from me, just so somebody else can have the same experience, doesn't bode well, at least in the short term or his long term, depending on how you want to take that one. But I think it'll come to a point where there will be an outcry enough in the community that people will force the companies to make the changes. So once again, I see that as a very short-term problem, but I think once again in the long term it will be solved.
Hope I'm here to see it.
You're only like 42. You're fine.
No, but so it's like, you run into the same old adage, right? Like Disney's running into right now, that they don't really care what their customers want. They want to give what they want, and they want to charge what they want, and everybody else be damned. And so they're going downhill just as fast as anything else in the neighborhood. But I think you're running into the same problem. You cater to what you want it to be instead of what the people want it to be. And yeah, you appease the masses for a little bit, but then it's just okay. We're out.
I think part of that he kind of hit on earlier, which was these CEOs and the people who are running these companies answer to a board of directors who answer to a shareholder. Most of those shareholders probably don't even play video games. Most of those boards of directors probably don't even play video games. Most of those CEOs probably don't even play video games.
They should all make him play Mario Kart. just get in there.
You want to be on our board? We're gonna do a round robin tournament of Mario Kart.
And you have to win to stay.
Or Smash Brothers. Get some Smash Brothers
Brothers.
going on in there. That would be pretty good. But the whole point being is they're all businessmen. They're all business people. They're not.
What's
They
the
don't.
bottom
They don't
line?
understand what community means to gamers. I mean, one of the biggest things I saw was CCP, not Chinese Communist Party. I actually don't know what CCP stands for. For EVE on, no, for EVE Online. For EVE Online. They took away a lot of their community engagement stuff, and their community started to fall away from the game, and they started to add in more microtransactions and more pay to win, essentially, and a lot more of the community started to fall away. They've kind of turned that around and really given their players more content and more to do, but you get to see how ignoring your community affects them on such a small level, like just that one company, and they don't have that many players, right? I think the most players I've seen online on EVE Online was like 32,000 at one time, which in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of players.
Right.
But to take that small company and to see the ramifications of not accepting what your community wants or listening to them, I think it'll eventually hit the bigger companies the same way.
100%.
Also, on we talked about this the other day, but this was just kind of an offhand conversation. What do you think Activision's going to do with just, mostly Blizzard in my mind, but what do you think they're going to do with just like screw you money? I mean, that's what they're going to have. The developers are literally just going to have screw you money.
I'm hoping for a better iteration of maybe World of Warcraft 2. It's time.
The panda experience.
What, you don't like those pandas?
We get a new Activision 3.
Activision 3? What?
The old game system, Activision. I'm sorry, youngin.
Yeah,
Going back in the day,
sorry, can you say that in Gen Z terms? Thank you.
Yeah, no, Activision 3.
They had. I don't even know what that is.
That was Activision. It was a game system. Like Atari. Oh my goodness.
Game system. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, I don't think
right
Activision
there.
was a...
Is that it?
Yep.
Activision game console.
Oh, wow.
Seriously?
I did not know
Now
that.
I really feel old.
You should. That's funny.
That was
That's
one.
great.
That was the upgrade from Atari. Yeah. And then it was Commodore 64, 128. Yeah, it was two
Well,
2 megabyte hard drives.
I think with all that extra money, I think they should do. Blizzard should do more cinematic.
I would love for them to do
movies.
cons.
Like
They should redo their World of Warcraft movie with just them doing it.
Yeah. I think if they just made the Warcraft movie all cinematic,
Yeah.
and all their level cinematics,
Yeah.
that would have been the greatest
And
thing
then
ever.
they'll just be, an entertainment company.
and then they could put it out in theaters. People would go see it.
Oh, yeah. Well, people see CGI movies all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello,
Look at
Buzz
any
Lightyear.
superhero movie.
that didn't do so well. Maybe a better
Yeah,
reference.
maybe better.
Buzz Lightyear?
Buzz
Yeah,
Lightyear
it did not do
didn't
No,
so
it
well.
did not do
Original?
well. Oh.
You talking about
Toy
Toy
Story?
Story?
Yeah.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. My bad. Toy Story, the original.
That was.
I'm like, Buzz, what the heck wrong with Buzz? Holy crap.
You
And
could
that-
have just said literally
Video
everything
game?
Pixar put out 10 years ago,
Right.
15 years ago.
Pretty much.
My bad.
Oh, yeah.
Before they start going to one-word
Yeah,
titles.
this new gen. I don't get it. Yeah.
This new gen, is that what you said? Those dang millennials ruining everything.
I'm telling you.
Okay, boomer.
Oof.
You hear that?
It was
Video games online
before
all
me.
the
That
time.
was 60s.
Was it? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Baby boomers.
You're almost there.
Wait, Gen X?
And proud of it.
And X.
Okay.
Latchkey kids.
You couldn't identify.
But like I said, I think overall it'll be a positive thing for the gaming community. And like it still puts Microsoft as the third biggest gaming conglomerate, followed by number 2 is Sony,
I mean,
and number 1 is Tencent.
Well,
Which
when you think about it, right? I mean, Microsoft has been having a monopoly on freaking computers, anyways, with their operating system, right? So it's good or bad. I mean, you either love Windows or you hate Windows, but people still use it.
Yeah. Also, the only reason you have an Apple is because they don't want Microsoft to have a monopoly, so that's why you have Apple. Don't hate me, Apple fans.
Or because Steve Jobs was a genius.
Yeah, you can.
I'm waiting for Elon Musk to just start doing all
Right?
everything.
I see the
like,
Tesla phone. I'm like, yep. I'm on.
Tesla phone, Starlink.
I'm in.
Like,
Oh, I would love to get Starlink.
so would
I think that would be so great.
Dude, I actually looked into it. It's a little expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
For my budget right now.
A little bit.
Really? I've been like $200. What's the ping rate? What's the?
No, it's phenomenal.
Is it?
Like, yeah. And then I think it was like, don't quote me because I'm probably wrong, but I think it was like $20,000 once I went through the thing to get like
Is that
Oh,
a
year?
subscription?
no, like the
Hardware and everything?
hardware, all that. Because
Interesting.
I was like looking at like I think it's like a portable.
Yeah, you can put it on
like,
your vehicle and take it over. Yeah.
Dude,
That's
so
awesome.
I was like, that is so cool. That I really. And then you see on Twitter like some of the people that have taken the photos of all the satellites lined up together,
Yeah.
like a line in the sky. It is incredible to see.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's crazy.
Sorry, I didn't want to go on a tangent there.
No, you're
I also
good.
built the Tesla too that I want to buy, but and the Cybertruck.
You know, I'm just waiting for them to make a Dyson sphere for our son.
Yeah.
Dyson sphere.
Energy.
That's you and Shad's game, and I don't get it. And it bothers me.
We'll have to play it. You can't play it together.
Yeah, it's a single player game.
And
it's-
they're bringing in combat too now.
Yeah.
Are they?
Hello.
Interesting.
Heck yeah.
Maybe we'll have to talk about Dyson Sphere one of these days in our dev spotlight.
Where you going?
We got other stuff.
We-
But so I mean overall there's definitely pros and cons to the acquisition of Activision. I'll say that 10 times fast. But I think overall in the long run, it'll be good for the gaming community just because it'll give those smaller dev companies really the opportunity to talk story, to drive story, and to push that out into.
You're talking about good for everybody else,
What do you mean good for everybody else?
like all the other companies, is not.
Well, it'll still be good for them because they'll get together, they'll create. I guarantee you, they'll create an engine, and then they'll start putting the engine out to people like Unity and Unreal.
You think they'll be that generous?
Maybe.
Microsoft's been in the game for so long. They have yet to produce an engine for us to use.
Yeah,
for
but
free.
they're acquiring. I think this makes it like 30 companies that they've now acquired in the gaming sphere.
Right. I mean, they've had their own studio for a long time. They could have made their own engine
I understand that.
from the get go, based off.
If
Windows.
if they find a way to make it consumer friendly and to monetize it, they would do it.
Problem. So one thing we all have to remember though is the guy that's went and lived through. What are you? 32?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? 36.
36, and you're
36.
36. So, I mean,
You guys got a decade on me?
Yeah, we gotta think about it.
27. So, from 1975, 76 to now, the leaps and bounds that we've done in video games, I mean, it's all, I would have never, 25 years, even 25 years ago, thought that we would be VR, playing video games, driving games like you got set up.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
just the Dyson Sphere, the mechanics of all of that. I mean, just so, I mean, yeah, we all talk as much smack as we want to about corporations and all this stuff, not being out there and doing for the masses, right? But I mean, look how much stuff they've created overall in the last 30 years of where we've gone and then where we've come from. World of Warcraft. I mean, that's just like, all those multiplayer games that are online, Final Fantasy or
Guild Wars
Well,
2.
just the technology of World of Warcraft, in of itself, the fact that it was all seamless.
Yeah.
No loading screens when you're going from one zone to the
area.
next.
Yeah, I mean, just so as much as we hate the conglomerate, I mean, the conglomerate pays for all that technology, and so yeah, we get the tech, we don't get the storyline. It's a give and take. Do we all love it? No, not always, but I mean, we get good stuff out of it. So it is what it is.
Well, that is actually a good transition into our next question here, which is gameplay versus story. For you, when you're playing a video game, what is more important to you? Is it important for the game to flow and to have good mechanics and to have a really good play style? Or is it more important for you to be able to play through a story and fall in love with it and really want to see the next chapter of that?
So this is probably going to surprise you, but I'm going to go with game mechanics because if you got a somewhat decent storyline, it doesn't have to be crazy awesome. I like the playability and the fluidness of a game mechanics and the way something plays through. Valheim, I think, is a game that my daughters love to play. The freaking engine on that thing is like archaic. And I've tried it, and I'm like, I can't even though they say the storyline's awesome, Dad, and da 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 da. I'm like, nope, I just don't even. It's clumsy, it's clunky. I'm like,
What game was it?
Valheim.
Oh, yeah. I ever funded that game.
Yeah, so I mean, but the way they like the gameplay of it because it's the story and the adventure and okay. But for me, if it's not functional, playable, and I can't feel comfortable playing it. If I feel like I'm clunking my way through it, then I'm done. See ya. So yeah, gameplay for me over story.
That is genuinely a surprise
Right,
from
and
somebody who can spout a
it's about
story
story.
off like it's nobody's business. I think
Right.
it was you a couple weeks ago. You said you could drive from McDonald's to the house and he could spin you a whole story about an adventure in that time frame. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting one.
In case anyone doesn't know, it is very short distance.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a very short distance.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people out there might be
They're-
listening.
they're-
Well,
they're
no,
like
there's McDonald's I have like
5
2
miles
hours
away.
away.
That's fair. What about you, John? As the coder, what's more important, mechanics or story? It'll be real telling here.
Listen, okay. The mechanics have to be on point for me to just play a game based on mechanics. But I will play if it's a good story and it has compelled me to find out what's going to happen next or find out what's going on, then I'll play it to find the story. Like Legend of Zelda, right? Tears of the Kingdom. When Breath of the Wild came out, their storytelling was just like it was non-existent, right? It was just like, oh, here you are. You woke up 1,000 years later, and there you go. That's all the information you got. Like, okay.
It was Zelda, man.
Yeah. Well, no. Most Zelda games, you're like, hey, go here. We need the crystals to open up the gate so you can get your sword. So then you can get 7 more crystals to destroy.
Dangerous out there.
Yeah.
It's dangerous out there.
But anyways.
Oh, how old was that game?
84 maybe.
But like even but like it's just mechanics on it were fun that you were just exploring. But like Tears of the Kingdom, I think they had a better direction as far as like, hey, go over here, and then it's like you naturally start uncovering the story as you're going, and you start unlocking like new mechanics and stuff like that. And those type of games are very compelling, and you can like waste like hours on end without even realizing it.
Nice and fair.
But to me, what will get me going in a game would be the storyline. Because after I played out the mechanics for so long, unless I want to go back and just, smash keys and do stuff, I'm not really coming back to that game. But if I haven't completed a story in a certain game that I want to know what the ending is, damn right I'm going to come back to it and be like, all right, let's do this.
That is absolutely fair. If you're watching, go ahead, leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think. What's more important to you, gameplay or story?
Neither.
Neither, right?
I don't play video games. I just watch this podcast for fun.
Right?
What about you, Bear? Being the lead narrative director here at Sundered Gaming.
I would say a game has to have a good story or something that interests me in the story realm. Get me play the game. So if it looks like, realize, get into the game and start playing it, and then I see the mechanics. Okay, mechanics are crap. But if the story's good, mechanics are good. The story is what gets me in. The mechanics are what keep. So like I invested, like I like the lore for BattleTech. Like the story, right? I got into that story. And I play that game still, old, whatever. But I still play it because I enjoy playing in the mech. I like the mechanics in the. So like, Kingdom of Deliverance. That was like a great game, great story, an RPG, and the mechanics were fun and unforgiving. That was a game that I enjoyed. But I would definitely say that it has to have a good story or decent story, and then the mechanics matter, like because that plays off of it. If it has no story and it's like, and you know that going in, then I'm not bothered. It doesn't bother me if I'm like, I'm just going to play a game. Yep. This is a game that it's gonna be just straight up. You're going into PvP against other people. 5 these hordes. That's different. And those mechanics can be too. But if you tell me you've got this story here and I'm gonna go through it and try to invest my time in it, and then I get to this stuff and I'm like, okay, awful mechanics don't work right.
Yeah.
Then I'm usually out.
Like Gears of War was a great mesh of amazing mechanics and storyline.
I heard it gave a lot of grown men tears.
Oh, that was such a good game.
No, and then the first time playing through it, the playability of going back through, you just, I don't know. For me, it was always, that was like the epitome of great storyline, great mechanics. Seamlessly chainsaw, shotgun, whipped through weapons, hide behind stuff, jumping over stuff, attacking the enemy. Yeah,
that was Halo for me.
Yeah.
I think it was Halo for a lot of people, and then unfortunately, the franchise was sold off, or the IP was sold off, and then hasn't done all that great since. But I feel, not to go off on tangents here, but for Halo, I feel Infinite was a good step in the right direction, and they just need to improve upon it. I hope that it doesn't turn into another Call of Duty.
Or you hope that Microsoft acquires Bungie again?
Yes. Yes, I do. Because then they, this is going to sound extremely weird.
Because then they can dump Destiny and now do their Halo MMO.
No, because, well, yes, but when Bungie sold Halo, they did not sell the rights to the sounds that they used for the vehicles.
Correct. No, I know how much you complained so many times. That doesn't sound like a warthog.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't sound like a warthog. It sounds like somebody like setting out back with an electric car. Like, what is this? Oh, like that's the most exciting part. There's gonna be some guy at Microsoft who's like, "Oh, we can open these Halo sound files again."
Like they literally couldn't go out and some diesel truck. I mean,
it wouldn't have sounded like a warthog.
No, I get you, but
that's my problem. It would not have sounded like a warthog. That's why I'm excited about Microsoft getting Halo.
I agree with him because it drives me nuts when, like in a World War II movie, when you hear an MG-42 being shot or you see it being shot and it doesn't sound like an MG-42. It drives me nuts.
Or you don't get that like.
Yeah, where it's like the M1 Grand and it's like hanging out the freaking clip. Oh, so great. So great. So that being said, I mean, you were pretty much answered my question, which was going to be, what game to you had the best story and the best mechanics combined into one? Obviously, Gears of War is mine, because it's a game that will forever hold a spot in my heart until, unfortunately, Gears of War 4.
Okay, so is there any like more recent, like post 2020?
You know, there's nothing that's grabbed me like that game. Playability or nothing really. No, not for me.
I mean, to a point, Guild Wars, it's brought me back into its fold a little bit.
Post 2020, buddy.
Well, with its expansions in a way, because they're new story driven, but Guild Wars for me drives me based on mechanics, not story. It's one of those games I only go back to because I love the mechanics so much.
Only PvP.
Yeah, all I do is PvP. I don't do the story stuff.
So How does that combine the gameplay and the story?
I really can't say gameplay and story for anything I played recently, but I haven't played anything new. Everything I play was like put out before I was even born.
Well, I think all our interests change when you get older too. Like mine's I used to like Gears of War, Halo, Guild Wars. All nowadays, I don't really not into the game for the combat aspect of the. Not into it for the combat aspect of the game. I'm into for the playability and the just want to tune the world out for like 3 hours and not have to think critically for 5 minutes, so I can just I don't know,
Build your Dyson sphere.
zone, build my Dyson sphere,
Yeah,
my
that,
Factorio world or my Satisfactory or
agree with that. Wanting to just get out, like that's the whole point of the games,
Right.
To escape in a different world,
Right.
relax, unwind.
Actually, I think I think I lied.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how old this game is, but you got me into Total War, Warhammer. 40K.
Oh,
The first game came out in 2000.
The one that
believe,
I bought
first.
though, with like
Ooh,
all
hold
the.
on.
I'm talking about what about Warhammer 3
Warhammer was 2016.
or Total War 3?
I
Total
don't
War.
remember which one you guys made me buy.
Well, we got the third one, so we can.
Was
use
it the one we all had that campaign together where your computer was being extremely terrible?
Well, that was
Total War
That was a
2.
yes.
That was Total War 2, and then we got Total War 3, and then it got even worse, 3 with him. So then we stopped playing.
It was a memory issue.
But
It was
memory
a
issue.
memory issue.
Yeah, let's not talk about how this guy puts his RAM inside his computer.
Oh, it's red. Red it in.
no. Okay, Logan.
Revenant.
Isn't that what it stands for?
That would be my most recent story and mechanics. I genuinely love the mechanics of that game, and the story is like one of the first times I've ever played through like a single player game and actually just been like, I really enjoy this.
Right.
Like good overall story, good narrative, good
I
drive.
think I just play a lot more video games than you guys.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I've got about 50, so I'm not. I saw Ashley's. If you're watching Ashley, holy smokes, her catalog it's like freaking 1,000. Like
Yeah, I believe it.
that's like 20 grand of games. I'm like,
So what's yours, John? Yeah, but she didn't buy any of that.
no, it was, I had before.
It was all on sale.
I mean, to be honest, there is a lot of games out there that I've enjoyed thoroughly as far as like story completion. One of the things I do have that I like mythology, right? As far as like Greek, Norse, you name it. And so like the God of War series, I mean, you either love it or you hate it, but like the way that thematically tell the story is just, it was so good. Like it was like watching a movie half the time while I got to like, beat up on dead people.
Well, talking
Yeah,
about the
on
new
dead
games.
people.
What about the D4? You guys have played it more often now.
Last
I
time
mean,
I played it, we were playing you, me, and John.
right, and you
And-
died. In hardcore.
That was.
All
It
right.
happens.
You missed microwave story from last
Oh
week.
yeah,
I lived it. What are you talking about?
I lived it.
No! I can remember his look in his face and his mom hit the button. Dude. Yeah.
Rough days.
I don't know. It's Diablo. I mean, it's not necessarily. It's one of those things you go in there and you try to push the max level, not necessarily. You play the story once and that's it, and you're just pretty much grinding after
Yeah.
that.
That's the only thing that really hit me. No matter what you do, you have to hit the exact same storyline through the beginning over and over and over and over again. I'm like, okay, they can't be like somewhere like Diablo 3. You had you started in town and started doing your different missions.
Oh, instead of skipping that intro
the
area.
whole thing.
You know how to stop that, right?
Oh.
Stop dying.
He is my son.
So the God of War, that's your story and gameplay.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's been a lot of them for me, so. I have to say Spider-Man because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan.
Well, yeah.
I've always been a Spider-Man fan, like all the way back when Activision actually had them. They were good games.
Go back to ColecoVision.
All right,
They
quit,
have a
quit,
Spider-Man
quit
game.
aging yourself here.
I'm just saying.
I know they had a. I know they had a. I think they had a Super Nintendo version. Unless it was Sega. It was one of those two. Wasn't as great as the PlayStation Activision one. Yeah, that was the first time you actually got to swing around, and that was just as crappy as the graphics are now, right? You still got to see like the Final Fantasy IV tower, right? And I was like, oh, this thing is awesome.
I think the first time I ever played a Spider-Man game was on the GameCube, and it was
GameCube?
GameCube. It was like
Right,
right.
wasn't it
It was like right over the release of the What was it? It was right after the release. I want to say of the third Tobey Maguire movie.
No, not on the GameCube. Really?
I'm like 90% sure. I'll call Nathan after this because it was his console that we played on. But I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was a GameCube.
Maybe I'm under.
No, it was at his place. Yeah, because it was in New York, and it was the first time that I ever got to like sling webs and like hit buildings and just like swing through New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all I really remember about that game. I don't remember any story, any gameplay. Just swinging through New York on webs. I'm pretty sure it was GameCube.
It could have been because wasn't that the same time as PlayStation 2?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because then that's when they made the movie ones.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I remember they weren't as good, so I was like, yeah, I saw the movie. I don't need to play the game.
You got a suggestion on what your favorite, not a suggestion, I guess, but what your favorite game is that has the best gameplay and story? Leave it in the comment section. Might get shouted out on the next podcast. You never know. What about you, Bear?
Well, I would say there's been like John. Now that we're old, so played a lot of games, and I think consistency wise, I would say for the most part, Creative Assembly with the Total War franchise has done a good job. Their game story and gameplay mechanics. Story that captivated me with mechanics. I would say Kingdom of Deliverance is probably one of the better ones. If you're doing a balance between game mechanics and the whole thing together in sync, it were paralleled each other. So if I had to pick one more modern, that would be one of them. I do like the layout in Guild Wars that you mentioned. I do like the storytelling they do with that game. I don't know much about the story or anything, but I do like what I've seen in it. And then I'm looking forward to doing the PvP. I haven't done it yet. But yeah, there's so many good games. Like I put, Halo 1 and 2 were for a long time were like the only things that I was playing. Like I'm fighting against other people. This is awesome. The story was cool.
Right.
But then you also have MechWarrior 4. When that game came out in the early 2000s, I think there's Black Knight, and then I think there's another one like Mercenaries. And those three, like they're all together. Vengeance was the first one. That story, Vengeance, was so much fun for me as a kid, like playing that, and I'll never forget it. Like they're all the mechs coming, and they're getting invaded, and they got one guy's like they're trying to defend. It was a great story, and I'll never forget like how it made me feel, playing that game. Like I'm this pilot. I'm trying to get vengeance against the people that screwed me over. Like it was fantastic, and that's what I like. If the story makes me feel like I'm that character and gives me the option to customize in some way that character and build into that, and then I feel like I'm actually a part of it. Where, like you were saying earlier, the whole point is I'm escaping and I'm trying to enjoy just something mind-numbingly simple and fun. That's one of those games for me.
I remember the first Halo. When there's I can't even remember the part of the game, but that horde, the flood comes out.
Oh yeah.
You fight your way all the way in, and then it's quiet for a good 2 or 3
Freaking
minutes, and there's
library.
nothing going on. You can hear stuff in the background. You remember that part?
Mhm.
And then that flood just comes out.
Just comes out and
I had dreams.
Like, I remember
those aren't
going through it and be like, "Oh, I got a shotgun now."
yeah, right.
oh,
the shotgun.
right,
I remember
right.
like sweet. We're gonna need it.
You're gonna need it.
You're like, "Huh, no wonder they gave me a shotgun."
Yeah. But yeah, when that door opened and the flood came pouring out, and me and him were playing 2 screens, and it was just like, holy smokes!
Yeah.
And you're looking up and down, like, okay, we're both
Yeah,
good. Yep,
everywhere,
no, it doesn't matter. Blood everywhere.
Yep,
Oh,
awesome. That's a unique one. Some games just you don't get that, but that game was like, yeah, you got that feeling that holy smokes! I swear to God, I saw flood in my head. Sleeping, we played.
Blood.
I believe it.
Yeah, that was not expected.
No, I mean it was just
at
thousands of
all.
them. I was like, holy.
Like, oh, we're done. This is where the Spartans lose. Like,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
oh, the flood defeats the covenant, and
There's no Halo 2. This is
Yeah, this is it. We're done. We're done with the story. No,
the
that's
tragedy. Okay.
also the StarCraft games. If you think about like, I like their stories.
Mhm.
Like when you remember in what 98, 99 when it came out and you're playing through the story and Kerrigan gets betrayed and all this, like, I don't know, that was pretty good.
I think Blizzard did a good job of portraying RTS and storyline or storytelling pretty well.
yeah, but
think
they've
so.
done it multiple times too.
Well, I mean, that's what they started with.
Yeah.
The one I liked out of the Star Trek series was oh my goodness,
Use your words.
Away Team.
Oh, it's a Star Trek game?
Yeah,
Is it the one where you guys are all
you're an
no.
away team and you go to the Borg
Oh,
ship. And
okay.
you
I never
work your way
played
through
it.
it.
Oh, I remember watching you play that.
You go to the Borg ship?
Yeah, you go
Yeah.
to the Borg ship.
Oh,
You like
that's
you like
awesome.
fight your way out on the
That's
board.
cool.
It was
Was that
really
was that
cool.
around the time First Contact came out? That movie where
Well, no, because it
Picard?
was off of Voyager because it was Tuvok and all those guys. that
Mhm.
whole
Oh,
team.
you know it's
Voyager. That was
Voyager the best
That was-
Star Trek.
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment if you agree with that,
That Star Trek
because
series.
I'm a Picard man right here.
Oh.
Captain
Original
Picard.
Kirk.
Are you in your Earl Grey tea?
Great. Yeah.
Earl Grey.
Actually, it's funny. Like, the first movies I saw were all Picard.
They
Well,
did a good transition from.
that was kind of when we were growing up. It was on
Mhm.
air,
Yeah.
like, and that's what my dad was watching at night. So I grew up liking that one the most. But
Mhm.
then he watched Deep Space Nine, watched Voyager, so I got hooked on all of them, and I'm like, these are all great.
Tiffany's best one is Enterprise. She loves Captain Archer. That was a good one for her.
That was an
Back to
interesting show.
Yeah. Totally out of
Yeah.
storyline. Totally didn't stick with any
Right.
continuity of the timeline, but you like that one the most. I think I'd have to go with Voyager. I think if I was going to choose one, that was
Absolutely.
a good story as far as storyline.
Voyager was good. Species 872
Yeah,
or whatever. Those guys, the Borg are terrified of them. It's so great. I'm like, oh, you're afraid? Yeah.
Your bioweapon scares the hell out of us.
All right. We're going to go ahead and transition into our next topic. You talked a little bit about Creative Assembly and their Total War series. So every week we kind of want to spotlight a group of devs or a dev company that puts out good content for their community and just overall puts out good games. This week we want to talk a little bit about Creative Assembly and their Total War series. You've played a lot more Total War than the rest of us. I'm not really sure how much John has played, and yeah, nada. I've only played what I've been able to.
So it's kind of a biased opinion.
Not really, because
No, the Warhammer ones were really good.
okay.
but they have a lot more than just the Warhammer ones. They
Correct.
have like historically accurate ones. They got like Total Rome. So I mean, just give us a little bit breakdown of Creative Assembly and what you like about them and what you like about their games. And
Well, it's a British company that was started in 1987, and the first game that I actually played by them was in their first release of the Total War franchise, which was Shogun, the original, and that was a masterpiece. Like from that point on, I was hooked on that. Anytime I didn't realize it at the time as a kid, but they they have gone through a lot of interesting changes. They were acquired by Sega in 2005, which it's not a bad transition in my opinion, like because Sega rocks. But they've made a ton of games. I have kind of a little list here. They have the Shogun, which was the Japanese historical one. Then they had the medieval Total War, and then they went back and remade like medieval Total War 2 and then Shogun 2. That they've branched out. They've gone up to Total War Empire, Total War Napoleon, which is obviously during the Rev. It's a world map, depending on what world it is, or if it's like Japan, it's just Japan. Rome is like Italy and Greece and some of Africa and the
regions.
So it starts off like you start on the map and whatever country you control or species, if you're playing Total War, Warhammer 3 or 2, 1. And then you build up your economy. It's kind of like Civilization is I guess you build up your little economy, trade, negotiations, and all this stuff, and then you move your armies into enemy territory or defend. You have assassins you send out to go kill people, and it's micromanagey, but not in a bad way. You're like there's a lot you want to watch for. Like you're
supposed to micromanage,
right? You want to make sure if you want to be successful in the game, you need to be watching all of your stuff in the campaign. And what I liked about it is it brings in, you have the strategy aspect of it, and you got to think about your economy, you got to think about your people, like are they going to be happy with this decision or like mad, and because you'll have rebellions. But then my favorite part about it is you didn't just watch two little bannered sold guys pieces fighting. You actually get transported down on the map, and it's a 3D battle with thousands of troops, and you're actually moving them. And to see, speaking to the newest one, Total War 3, seeing thousands of little dwarves and elves and arrows flying and dragons barreling into your men is beautiful. I have no other way to explain it to me, because it's the closest I can get to visualizing the stuff that I'm creating with our world. And it's the closest I can get to like seeing it there right now. And that's I think they continue to blow me away, because they went and did Total War Troy, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play the Greeks. I already have Rome, so I went and did it. And the Greeks are obviously different from the Romans, but I was like, whatever, I can play as the Greeks in the Rome one. But they added the element in the Troy one where you can play historical, a little bit of mythical, or full mythical with historical, like that. Like you have like the centaurs and just
that's pretty cool.
So they have it so you can choose which one. But the thing that I really liked about it was the fact that you can have your hero, your general, actually duel other generals. So they would be sitting there, you have all these guys fighting, and then the men kind of spread out while these two generals duke it out in like this epic little fight that they're having, while all the other soldiers are fighting. These two commanders are fighting, and they're like, I've done probably like 100.
Can we do that with presidential nominees?
That's very German, or as the Romans would say, the barbarians.
Romanian.
Anyway, it was pretty fun to like watch and just be like, okay, I'm gonna put these heroes together, and then they're gonna fight those heroes, and just see how it happens. And so you have this giant map, and I have to speed it up. I'm like, ding 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 ding, and then I pause it or put it on regular speed to watch them. I had a blast watching those little fights and playing with you guys. It's the third one, being able to simultaneously do our
that
turns.
is such a nice quality of life.
Yeah. It makes it like so much faster. It's like,
Right.
And then like our communication is like, hey, I'm gonna initiate a combat. Everybody good? And everybody's like, yeah, 1 second. Or it, yeah. So
Yeah, they definitely made a really good quality of life change when they implemented that. Being able to
simultaneously
take all your
turn.
turns at the same time, and then just be like everybody preps for combat, and it's like, oh, you guys are going to combat, cool. I'm gonna hit the banyo and like
Yeah,
go get some
exactly.
food. Like, see you guys.
Right.
Or even like being able to. I think one of the coolest things is the 3 of us can play, 4 of us can play, and you can assign units to everyone else you're
Yeah.
playing with.
So we all can participate in the same battle. Like John normally gives me archers.
Yeah, because you're ungodly.
Yeah.
Oh my lord, dude.
I know.
If you don't have if you don't give bear archers, then you're gonna lose.
Every time. Every time.
Every time.
I will move those guys. They're the hardest working archers you'll have. I love archers.
But
Yeah.
so overall, Total War franchise definitely doing a lot of good and continuing to grow and be a good gaming development company within the world we have right now, where everyone's looking at microtransactions
Right.
and
And that's one thing that they've kind of done a little bit of, and it doesn't really, to me, take away from the game. It does add a little bit, but I think they need to be careful because they are moving in that direction
Mhm.
with some of their stuff. Like, hey, buy this $5.99 blood pack,
Right.
so there's more blood. It's like, why don't you just have an option in the game to turn it on and off? Why do I have to buy a pack for this? That's kind of ridiculous.
Because they're from Australia.
So in the
Well, that's
the way I
cool.
see that is like microtransactions have a time and a place.
Right.
And I understand a company who's trying to continue to develop have some sustained monetary value for the games that they put out. I think there's better ways to do it, but I like even Age of Empires 2. The game's older than I am, and they continue to put out new races and new
I still haven't tried that since they brought in
the new Romans. Yeah, I
'cause that
know.
was-
It was a little pricey, $15 for one race. So I was
Yeah,
like, are you
okay,
kidding me
and
right now?
that's kind of what I was getting to.
Oh,
They're doing
Yeah.
it right by introducing more and more into the game, but they're doing it wrong by how much they're charging their player base for something that
Yeah.
is so,
minuscule.
yeah, in the grand scheme of things. I don't own any of the DLC. The Romans might be the only one I buy, but I won't buy it until it's like a half off
Oh, yeah.
or
Like
I
99
just
cents.
yeah.
That's my
Two,
wheelhouse.
$3.
The game is still $38 or $40.
Age of Empires
Age
2
of
is-
Empires 2 is still
I believe
freaking
it.
expensive.
It's more expensive than 3 and 4.
Yeah. And we play it all the time. I mean, it is. But yeah, I've done like 4 or 5. You can only pick up like 1 or 2 races for like $7-10, whatever it is. But the Romes or whatever it was like $15 just for one. I was like, really?
Mm,
Are they really that powerful? I mean, I don't.
Well,
No,
you
probably
didn't
not.
just
I
skip
think-
the Romans.
is
You
it
got
as-
Romans, and then you got Age of Empires 1 mode with it.
Yeah, I don't care for that.
Yeah.
Well, I know,
And that's the other thing. You're just
but that's what you
adding
got with it.
you're adding
Yeah,
stuff
but-
to it for no reason.
Yeah.
Right.
just
right.
a-
So
a
that's
price
how we're gonna justify this price.
Right.
We're gonna
Well, that's what they're
all you're
saying.
really getting is
Is
this race because no one wants to play the one.
Yeah.
But we're gonna throw that in there as a bonus. How about you just give me the race for like $2.99, $1.99, or
Yeah.
something? But like, I don't know. That stuff irritates me because I don't really know from the developers. I don't know why. Like, if you explain to me, we're doing this DLC. We want you to buy it, and it comes with this. Like, it instead of sugarcoating it and being like, you get all this extra stuff. Like, give me the meat and bones of really what I'm getting.
Right.
Like, not this fluff. I want to know why you're charging me this. It's your product. Tell me why I should buy it. Not just be like, well, we expect you to buy it. That's how I feel. It's like you look at all the DLCs. It's like
Yeah. It's
$10.99,
squirrel,
$10.99,
squirrel.
$10.99. It's like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Is anybody else questioning the fact that he said give me the meat and bones instead of meat and potatoes?
Potatoes.
All right. Anywho, transitioning from that, so with Total War with the Rome and the Greek, would you say they stayed pretty accurate to historical events and historical accuracies in general?
I
Inquiring
would
minds want to know.
say, for the most part, I would say I'm pretty impressed with. There's obviously little things that won't add up from a historical point of view, especially if you're playing the campaign and you're like, well, I just took over all of Europe and
Right.
I'm pretty sure that
I'm pretty sure that didn't happen, but all right.
like from
Hail
the
Caesar.
standpoint like of like for unit formations and what particular unit would be able to do, like you'll have with the Romans the testudo formation or the turtle formation. where they put all their shields over and they're marching like that. Each unit has their own special formation or how they can attack, and to the point where your archers can switch from flame arrows to there's just so many things, and I think they do a really good job, and that's probably part of the reason why I do like Creative Assembly and the Total War games, because from the historical games they've done, I had a blast playing them, and they have the actual historical events in those games. Like in Empire, you play the Bunker Hill battle I think that's like the tutorial, if I remember, or the intro to the game, and you're trying to defend against these Brits, and they just keep coming and coming. Like you can win that battle, but it's hard, and like it. Obviously, we held, but we lost that battle historically. So, like yes, I would say historically it's good.
Gotcha.
And fun.
And I asked that question because we were actually going to take a look at the official trailer for the new Napoleon movie. I'm going to throw my laptop out here a little bit.
You know, a true production manager would have had this queued up already.
It is queued
It
up.
is queued up. Thank you.
With a projector, like right underneath.
Oh.
What was that? Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah. It's the.
I thought that was the end of the trailer. I was like, what am I doing?
No doubt you've seen the chaos in the streets. We must make an example, or France will fall. What would you do if this assignment of defense was transferred to you?
I promise you brilliant successes.
Oh, that was a lot of big name movies.
Yeah.
What is this costume you have on?
This is my uniform. I led the French victory at Toulon.
What is your name?
Napoleon.
As the course of my life just changed. Napoleon.
I'm destined for greatness. But those in power will only see me as a sword.
I suggest you take the throne as a king.
Shall we vote?
This vermin has held the world hostage with his egotism and his lack of simple good manners.
You think you're great. You are just a tiny little brute that is nothing without me.
All of Europe is uniting forces against me.
What's the outcome of this if you don't succeed?
Your Majesty, we are discovered.
Good. I'm the first to admit when I make a mistake. I simply never do.
Oh, that's my new favorite quote.
Simply never do.
I am the first to admit when I make a mistake. I just simply never do.
I think we need more guillotine action.
Or guillotine action.
Guillotine action.
So I show that and just bring it up because obviously we're not a film critique podcast, but just overall the accuracy and the desire for historical accuracy when we're playing games and when we're playing or when we're watching movies, like to have that and then to see Total War give such good historical accuracy to everything they do. Just it does so much for people who want to play those games and have that accuracy. But since we watched it, what do you guys think about the Napoleon trailer?
Oh, I'm on board. I like Ridley Scott, and love the Gladiator movie.
What Which I think Joaquin Phoenix was in that one too.
He was.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he plays Commodus.
Are you not entertained?
That's Maximus or what's his name?
Marcus
Kurt
Aurelius.
Russell
Yeah.
or not Kurt Russell?
Oh
Russell,
my goodness,
Russell Crowe. No, I think it'll be cool. The guy's got a great story, like the fact that he came to power, became emperor of France, lost power, was put on a little island, Elba or whatever, and then broke free and came back and took everything over again. And everybody in Europe's like, "Oh, not him again!" And like, it's just it's a remarkable story, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Like history alive on the like there's only so much you can read, like and imagine, but when you see it on top of already having the historical context behind it, to me is like one of my favorite things about just visualizing history and actually seeing history come to life. As far as what you said, well, I'll hold off.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as far as you say for video games, if it's a fantasy game or outside of that, like I give a little bit of leeway, but it's cool when they have references or things that are we know of from our own history inside the games. That's why one thing I appreciate about historical accuracy in video games in general.
I'm with you there because Jans can attest to this. Every time I watch a World War One movie, a World War II movie, or being a military guy, 13 years infantry. Studied history, combats, battles. Then you watch the remakes of situations or scenarios or people's epic lives. And you're like, what? It wasn't even close to what the history is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a big one of those. And if you can throw that into a game and make it accurate and come to life,
I just say trench warfare.
Trench.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Trench warfare. Yeah.
I would not want to be in that era of fighting.
I
No.
don't think anybody does.
No, but I don't think anybody.
I'd rather be in like Roman time fighting than trench warfare.
March, dodge some arrows.
Right?
Yeah.
Not just like march in a line and
at
aim.
least I'm like, some semblance of skill is going to get me to win this, as opposed to like random luck of like, do they see me? Can they see me? Okay, they saw me.
Like, oh no, they threw the mustard gas into my trench.
Battle of the Bulge.
You guys
101st.
smell that? It smells like
napalm in the morning. Yeah, no, it's definitely.
What a terrible day.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, we need to send we need to go across to send a message. But can't you just send a bird?
Send a bird. They've already been shot down. So you're gonna send me instead?
Better than a bird.
But like his Black Hawk Down movie that Ridley Scott did,
Yeah.
that was very very accurate.
Like Band of Brothers was a huge one.
Oh yeah, Band of Brothers is good.
We Were
too.
Soldiers was another good one.
Did he do Band of Brothers?
Not Ridley Scott.
No.
Oh no.
He did Black Hawk Down,
Yeah.
and then he's just giving more examples.
Accurate trails from what I've read for histories, battles that I've read through.
I remember Band of Brothers. We were watching that when I was in middle school,
Yeah.
and I wrote a paper on basically a couple of battles that they had, and I remember writing because I was talking about Iwo Jima, and I used the word Japs in my essay.
Uh-oh.
Jeez.
They didn't like that.
I got pulled into the office so quick, and they're like, do you know what this means? And I'm like, yeah, Japanese. Like,
Yeah.
well, what's wrong? And they're like,
he was
"Do you
young enough
under-
to not realize that was a slang word.
Like,
at the
right.
time.
do you understand that's a slur? And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm watching a
what's a
TV
slur?
I'm watching a TV show.
What do you mean, Asian Japanese teacher?
Whoops.
No, it was Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, no.
Mrs. Smith.
White as snow.
Yeah, whitest person.
But I think that is all the time we have today. Any closing remarks from anyone?
I think that comes out in November, so we should all go see it together.
Napoleon? Yeah. No, it'd be good.
Oh, yeah. Fun
that
movie
would
to
actually
see.
be really good to see.
I'm not a huge fan of the French.
Yeah. that era is kind of a remarkable time because
It
we
is.
had
The
our
whole-
revolution, which
yeah.
was based on certain principles, and then the French had theirs, which was based on other principles.
Oh, it's definitely.
They helped us, and then we were like, figure it out.
We're on our own, baby.
We're not
no-
big enough to swim. We just had a big war.
Right.
November 22nd is the release date
Okay,
for
I
Napoleon.
thought cool. No.
All right. Well, gamers and devs, that wraps up this episode of the Status Quo. I'm gonna have to edit his thing so bad. We hope you enjoyed the dive into the world of gaming from our point of view. As we close today, we just want to say thank you for your support as we try to bring a positive and insightful and entertaining content to you every week. If you'd like to stay connected with us beyond the podcast, follow us on all the major social media platforms at Sundered_Gaming. You can also check out our website at sunderedgaming.com for upcoming content, sneak peeks, and announcements about our games. Join us next week where we will discuss the learning curves of different games along with the easiest and hardest games to play. This has been the Status Quo.
Smooth jazz.
jazz.